This chapter starts off with identifying points, lines, line segments, and rays. So let's start with points first. So when we see points, they look just like it sounds, a point or what looks like a dot and a letter next to it. So all we do to write the identification for that is we write point A, we write the words point and the letter A, and then same for B, we would write the word point and then the letter B, and then for the dot next to C, we would write that as the word point followed by the letter C. So super simple, self-explanatory. Aha, it's a point. I'm going to write the word point and then whatever letter accompanies it. Next, we have lines. So when we see lines, we're talking specifically about the arrows on the end of those lines. Because a lot of times when you see just a pencil drawn on a piece of paper, we'll say, oh, that's a line. When we're talking about geometry, though, for our chapter, when we say lines, we mean it has two arrows on the end. Because when we go to identify them, that is what we end up drawing on top. So here we can see line AB has two arrows across it that identifies it as a line. So when we're writing the letters down, we just write them alphabetically. A comes before B, G comes before H. So we include those points in the name of the line, and then we draw the little line with both arrows on top of it that identifies it as a line. So that is different from next, a line segment. Notice here for line segments, it's just a segment of that line. It does not have any arrows. So when we identify these, we do not include any arrows on the identification. So for instance, we start with writing them alphabetically based off of the letters in their points. So the first line segment has a point D and a point C in it. We write it alphabetically as CD, and then we draw the line segment with no arrows on top of it that identifies it as line segment CD. Same for the second figure, we see it has two endpoints with A and B. So we write those letters A, B to identify those are the endpoints of the line segment. And then we draw that little line segment on top of it. So we would refer to that as line segment AB. And lastly, we have rays. For these, think of like a ray of sunshine with the endpoint in the center, just the dot in the center, and then the ray shooting out of the sun, so the line extending out of it. So here, for example, on the top, we see letters A and B, so we still write those alphabetically, just like we did with the others. And this time, we're only going to have one arrow on top of it, identifying it as a ray. So we see that one on top has an end point A, and the rest of the arrow going to the right, and that's exactly how we would draw it on top of AB. Same for the figure underneath. It gives us a point Y, and it also gives us the end point R. So again, we're writing those letters RY, and then we're drawing that little ray on top of it to identify it as ray RY.